before they eat the truma. And Chacham also enacted that not only the kohenim, but everyone should wash their hands. Like this, there should not be any confusion. So everyone should wash their hands before they eat what? Bread. Now, the truma can come from grain, wine, and oil. But wine and oil, you don't touch with your hands because it's in a cup. So it's not usual for them to touch it directly. So the only concern about the foods you touch directly, which is the grain. Now from grain, you can make many things, but the main food that you make from grain, at least back then, was bread. That was like that's what sustained them. That was the main part of the meal. So they enacted only for bread that you wash your hands before you eat bread. And the amount, how much you have to eat in order to be able to, that you're obligated to wash your hands, is if you're eating the size of an egg, which is about 1.5 ounces. So if you eat that amount of bread, then you have to wash your hands, because that's the amount that has the power to contaminate. In other words, the food if let's say food is tummy, it's contaminated, for that to make something else tummy, the food has to be the size of an egg, which is about 1.5 ounces. So they said if the food has that size, then you have to wash your hands. Now, the obligation is when you're only eating that amount. If you eat less than that amount, you don't have to wash your hands. But still, you don't wash your hands with a bracha, you wash without a bracha. So let's say if someone's going to be washing on bread and they're eating a very small amount, less than this size, they still should wash their hands, but they don't say a bracha before they wash their hands. You don't say a bracha because it's questionable, you have to wash your hands. So if eating, so that's why when people wash their hands, they have to make sure they're eating a certain amount. It's not a large amount, it's about 1.5 ounces. It could be even less. It could anywhere between 1 ounce and 1.5 ounces. A little over 1 ounce probably is also that is already that size. It really the size does not really go according to weight, even though we hear it in weight, but really it goes according to volume. So that's why it could be different amounts for different foods. Like when we talk about saying an after bracha for, let's say, any food, to say an after bracha has to be the size of an olive. What the size of an olive depends on the food. If there's a certain size, it could bring one day, I could show it to you. And whenever that size, and now if it's, let's say, a fruit's way less. The same volume fruit versus volume of cake, let's say, or cookies, fruits will weigh less. Take cut out a piece of cantaloupe, let's say, and then take that size in a cookie. What's going to weigh more? The cookie, right? So it goes according to size. That's why when you're saying an after bracha for, let's say, fruits and vegetables, you don't have to eat so much to say an after bracha. It's the size of an olive. I mean, don't get confused. I said the size of an egg. The size of an egg is for washing your hands. Okay, for after bracha, it's the size of an olive, right? Kazais. So to say after bracha for a fruit, it's a very small amount. It could be maybe, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 ounce. It's not a large amount. But for bread, it's a larger amount. But anyways, for benching, it has to be the size of an olive. But for washing and to be able to say the bracha on Netilat Yadayim has to be the size of an egg, which is double the amount of the size of an olive. Now, when you wash your hands, you have to make sure that the water is getting into your whole hand. This is very challenging because there are people who go and they wash their hands, and they wash like that. And after the first time washing, the water did not go everywhere. The water has to go everywhere. Now, you can't wash twice. I mean, of course, you wash twice. That's what I meant. If you wash 3 times, I bet you can't wash twice but equals one washing. Can't wash like this and say, oh, I didn't get water here, I can wash a second time here. Every wash has to get the whole hand. You're allowed to move around the hand. So while you're washing, you can wash and you can move your hand while you're washing it, but it's one wash. You're pouring, and you could be moving. Exactly how to hold your hands, it's somewhere around this. It shouldn't be, if it's like this, then it's going to run down and it's not going to go here. So it should be like this. Out of Chabad, they wash twice. We wash 3 times each hand. After we wash our hands, what do? Anyone knows what the Seder is? We wash our hands and then we say a bracha until Yadayim. But at what point do we say the bracha until Yadayim? After you dry your hands. When you say the bracha until Yadayim, you say it after you dry your hands or before you dry hands? What? Before. Always, right? What about in the morning? In the morning when you wash your hands, you say the bracha until Yadayim before you dry it or after you dry it? In the morning. No. In the morning, we dry our hands first. Then we say the bracha until Yadayim. But when we wash for bread, first we say the bracha and then we dry our hands. Because we want to say the bracha, we wash for bread, the rubbing also cleans the hands. So we wash our hands for bread, and then we want to have this. Usually you say bracha before you do the mitzvah. So the rubbing also cleans the hands. In the morning, it's a different reason. So we're not going to the morning. It's a different reason why we wash our hands. The hands are tamei. It's different. We want to remove the tumah completely. We want to dry it totally off. And then we say the bracha. When you wash for bread, it's different. Over there, the impurity is off already. Now we want to say the bracha before we rub it, before we dry it, and before we rub it. It's like this. We could be saying the bracha before you do the mitzvah. Usually you say a bracha before you do the mitzvah. Now, we're not going to say a bracha before we wash our hands, because if the hands are dirty, how do you say a bracha? That's the reason why you wash your hands, because they could be tummy, they could be dirty. So we want to say the bracha after you wash your hands, when your hands are clean. But you also want to say the bracha before you do the mitzvah. Yeah, but the mitzvah is washing your hands. We just said, you don't say bracha before the mitzvah, right? But part of the mitzvah is also to rub your hands together, to clean it. There's the washing the hands, and then there's the rubbing it together that also cleans it more. So if after we wash our hands, we say the bracha, and then we start rubbing it together more, now we're saying the bracha before we do the mitzvah. You get that? I'm just saying now in simple words. In simple words, what I'm saying is, usually you say a bracha before you do the mitzvah. But when it comes to washing your hands, you can't. You can't. Chacham have to set things in a way that's the same for everyone. Many times when people wash their hands for bread, the hands are very dirty. So it doesn't make any sense. That's part of the reason why you're washing your hands. So you say a bracha when your hands are dirty. So Chacham say, no, wash your hands and then say the bracha. But generally, a bracha is said before the mitzvah. So we want to apply that also and have the idea of saying a bracha before the mitzvah. So how do we apply it over here? You already did the mitzvah, already washed your hands. So Chacham is saying, yeah, but part of the mitzvah is also to rub your hands together, because rubbing cleans it too. So that's why we specifically say the bracha after we wash our hands, and specifically before we rub it. So after we wash our hands, then we say the bracha, and then we rub it together. So the rubbing is also part of the mitzvah. So now we said the bracha before we did the mitzvah of cleaning our hands. So we wash, we say the bracha, and then we rub it together. and then we dry our hands. Understood?
Wait, what's the problem of saying it like I know you explained it like before?
Before we wash our hands?
Because your hands are dirty.
Because not necessarily, but it could be dirty. In other words, the reason why we're washing our hands is because it could be that there's another thing I didn't explain. That is, people don't know what they do with their hands all day. People don't wash, you don't watch what's going on. You're sitting and you scratch your head, you scratch here, you touch things. So in the times of Beis Hamikdash, your hands could be tummy because your hands are the status what's called sheni l'tumah. There's different levels of impurity. So your hands are assumed to be sheni l'tumah. Now, but besides that, your hands could be dirty. The reason, in other words, we wash our hands to make sure they're clean before we eat. So is it possible that your hands are actually dirty? Yeah, you're going to wash your hands now. So to Chacham to say, before you do a mitzvah, you wash your hands, say a bracha. Well, you're washing your hands because they could be impure. They could be dirty. Now, it could be for some people it's not so dirty. They could say the bracha. But the Chacham can't say, okay, if your hands are clean, you're going to say the bracha. If your hands are not clean, then you don't say the bracha. It's very confusing. Yeah. The Chacham have to make one way. Chacham say, when you wash your hands of bread, first you wash your hands are clean, now you say the bracha until Sinai. But instead of waiting until you dry your hands completely, come say, you wash your hands, now they're clean, right? Now you're going to say the bracha. What are you accomplishing now? Because now you say the bracha, now you start rubbing your hands together after you say the bracha. Now you're also accomplishing that you said the bracha before you did the mitzvah. That's the idea. You want to make sure before you wash your hands that your hands don't have anything stuck. So even though, usually you wash your hands because they're dirty. There's something stuck to it. Over here, you're not going to be scrubbing. You're just pouring water. So you're coming to wash your hands, but you're going to check your hands before you wash it that they're clean, right? There's nothing stuck. You don't want to make sure there's nothing stuck to it. There's no dirt. Sometimes people are writing with a pen. And sometimes pens go bad and you get ink all over your hand. Now you have to scrub your hands. So you don't have to go over, go crazy, I'm saying, but you look at your hands, if you see there's a stain of ink on it, you can't wash your hands. You have to scrub it. And after you scrub it, make sure it's dry. So before you wash your hands, even though you're going to get it wet anyways, the hands have to be dry. Because the water has to be able to have direct contact with your hand. So anything in between stops the ability, it's a spiritual idea, not in a physical way, that the water gets into the way of the hands, of the water going straight to the hands. So your hands you have a pen marks on it, you're scrubbing it, now it's clean. You're ready to wash your hands, right? Okay, make sure your hands are dry. Your hands are dry, and then you wash your hands. Got it?
You know what the problem is with nails? Like with nail varnish or like acrylic nails. Like,
what about it? Well,
what's that stopping from the water reaching my actual nails or like my actual hand?
Good question. What about if you have nail polish? Is nail polish an issue? Now, if the nail polish is intact, it's good, it's not falling apart, then there's no problem. But if, let's say, it's like it's a mess, it's like coming off, partially on, partially off, like you don't like the way it is, you want to redo it, then it will become an issue.
But like, say if I'm about to go have lunch, I don't like my nails.
Like, what are you supposed to do? It depends how bad it is. It's hard to give an exact. If it really looks like, if it's really bothering you, you don't like the way it is, and you're like I just like it, you're not comfortable with it, then it does create an issue. It does create an issue. Now, let's talk about nails itself and then get back to that, because it'll be easier. What about nails itself? Is nails the nails itself is not a chatzitza, right? If you have someone has long nails, but it's clean, it's not a problem because the nails aren't, it's not a problem. When it comes to mikveh, it's different. Mikveh, you cut the nails, it's different. Mikveh is a different level. But otherwise, it's not an issue. But what about if there's dirt under the nails? So Shechnach, it's brought down that we make a distinction if the dirt is under the nails where it's flush with the skin, or if it's under the nails protruding the skin. Does that make sense? The nail, right? In other words, if you put your hand like this, if your nail is long, you can see your nail coming up, right? You get what I'm saying? Now, if there's dirt under the nail in front of you, the nail that's coming up, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? You look at your nails like this. Imagine you pick your fingers, and then you see your nail coming up. Right? You can do it. You can do it now. You can do the nail coming up, right? Right? Now, the nail that's protruding over your skin, that if there's dirt over there, that's a problem. But if you don't see the dirt because the dirt is flush with the skin, right? It's not coming over. Then that dirt is not al pi halacha called a chatzitza. Al pi halacha, it's not because usually it doesn't bother you. Usually, because it's not so visible, right? Because it's in the skin. Yeah, you get what I'm saying? It's flush with the skin. So if it's inside, it's only what comes like this. That dirt is a problem. Now, getting back to what we said before, just to clarify, you're asking about what is called varnish. Did you say varnish?
Like nail varnish.
Nail varnish, that's the word, right? So the nail varnish is like this. What's coming, I was going to say there's a difference if what's coming over or the nail itself. I don't think it's going to be a difference. Because if it's coming over, now it's bothering you, yeah, so it'll be a problem. Yeah. So it will be an issue. Anyways, I was going to say the difference if it's this part or what's coming down. It doesn't matter. If the nail varnish is not good, it's going to be the whole thing. Bottom line is, if the nail varnish is really bothering you, then that is a problem. It depends how bad it is.
It's subjective because some people get so annoyed even if there's like a tiny chip, and like I could like go with my nails and looking at the back, like it's like if it's bothering
You're right.
like that's such a.
If it's really bothering a person, if it's really bothering them, it can be, it's going to be an issue. Yeah, depends how bad it is. Yeah. Now, many times before you're about to wash, you need to use the restroom. Come out of the restroom, you wash your hands, right? And you're about to wash for a meal, right? Use the restroom first sometimes, and then wash your hands after the restroom, and then you wash again for bread. Sounds very simple, but it's not simple. Because many people, after they use the restroom, how do they wash their hands? A lot of people will do nagelwasser, right? This. Something, yeah. Maybe some don't, some do. You don't have to, but some do it. Yeah. That's it, that's what you do. Yeah. Right? Now you're going to wash your hand for bread. No problem? There is a problem. What's the problem? Problem is, you're going to wash your hands for bread, and you're going to say a bracha al Netilat Yadayim. Why you sing a bracha al Netilat Yadayim? Because you need to wash your hands before the meal. You just washed it. Your hands are clean already. You came out of the bathroom, so you didn't go like that. Instead of going 3, 3, 3, you went like this. But you washed your hands 3 times on each hand. So you can't come out of the bathroom, wash your hands, nagelwasser. I mean, yeah, dry, shiyatza. I'll finish explaining the whole thing, then see if there's questions. Maybe the question will be answered. And then dry your hands, and then wash your hands for bread. Can't do that. Either what you have to do is, there's a few things you could do. One thing you can do is that this time when you come out of the bathroom, you won't wash nagelwasser. Because you're not obligated to. You just wash just regular. You can do that. Say shiyotza, and then wash hands for bread. Or what you can do is you could just wash your hands for bread right away. Wash hands for bread. And say on Netilat Yadayim. And after Netilat Yadayim, you say Hashiyatza. You can say Hashiyatza between Netilat Yadayim and you say Hamaitzi. According to Allah, the Alter Rebbe says it's not an interruption. You see, between Al Netilat Yadayim and Hamaitzi is not the same like between Hamaitzi and when you bite into your bread. Even though we don't interrupt, but it's not at the same level. It's different. It's not as strict. So you can say Netilat Yadayim. Then you say Hashiyatza afterwards. There's something else you can do, but I'm not sure about this. I have to look it up if that's. But you Negolasa, if you also do it after the bathroom, Hashiyatza, and then you make sure your hands get dirty again. You scratch your head, let's say. If you scratch your head, you scratch your scalp. You with both hands. Actually, it doesn't matter both hands because one hand already obligates you to wash. See, with one hand already. And now you have to wash your hands. So that could also be a way to do it. Yeah, you had a question.
Yes, I was going to say, like, doesn't it matter the intention that you're doing? Because usually I always think when I'm coming out of the bathroom, virtually I do this a lot. I'm washing like a Shirat Zar. I'm thinking like, okay, this is to like virtually clean my hands after going to the bathroom. And then I say Netilat Yadayim before going to eat the bread. And I'm thinking, okay, now this is virtually clean my hands before eating bread. Like the distinction doesn't really.
No, either I missed something or something is not making sense. Repeat that again.
Sorry, yeah. So basically, sometimes if I'm like going to eat at a restaurant and I need to go to the bathroom, I say Ashayyatzar and then I say Netilat Yadayim before eating bread. And you're saying that you don't need to say both because you're already clean.
No.
Hmm?
So, no, I'm not saying you only say both. What do you say both?
No, I think you said like we just
What I said was that you should not, you can't just do your regular thing, routine. Okay, I went to the bathroom. I'm gonna wash the negel. Always wash negel. I said Hashiyatza. Okay, now hands are dry. Now ready to wash hands for bread. You can't do that because you wash hands for bread. Why you say your hands are clean already? You say Netilat Yadayim. What are you Netilat Yadayim for? Saying I wash with a bracha, your hands are clean already. Makes no sense. So I'm saying this, you could wash your hands right away for bread.
Yeah.
And after you say Netilat Yadayim, you have to make sure you say Hashiyatza. Or you could just this time wash your hands not with negel, just regular. Just wash like that. But people usually, if you particularly do that way, some people aren't so particular, so they try when they could and when they did. So for them, it's not like a big issue. They don't always do it. So here, okay, so they won't do it. They'll just wash regular without a part, and then they'll wash proper. So there's different ways how to do it. Okay, so the nail. Who remembers about the nail? If the nail comes off, is it a problem?
Yes.
Yes.
It is a problem? If the nail is partially off.
It's partially off.
Like mostly.
If it's mostly off, then it is a problem, it's not a problem. It's confusing, right? If most of the nail is off,
No.
then it's not a problem. Because the water could get into it.
Right.
If it's a little bit off, then it's a problem. Because the water can't get in between where it's cut off, and the water has to cover the whole body, the whole hand. So it's stopping the water from getting there. If most of it is off, so what's the problem? Most of it is off. What's the issue if most of it is off? The water has to cover the whole hand. It covers the whole hand. Spoke about band-aids. If you take off your band-aid before washing. If you can take off your band-aid before washing, let's say you cannot take it. The doctor says, no, don't take it off. This is bad. You got a bad cut. The band-aid has to stay there. So what do we do? How do we wash our hands? Anyone?
I mean, you just like
Who remembers?
wrap that hand
With glove.
What are the options?
If your hand is covered by a band-aid.
Step one is you should take it off. What if no, you can't take it off? Like medically, you're not supposed to take it off. So what do you do now? There's two options. There's two ways how to do it.
So you wash one hand and then eat with a glove with the other hand? Wear a glove.
You cover one hand with a glove, okay? And what's the other option? What's something else you can do? If the band-aid is not supposed to go off, it's supposed to stay there. It means you want it there. Then it's not really a chatzit, it's not interrupting because it's meant to be there. So then, we just said we put a glove. If you're able to wash that hand without no concern, in other words, you're allowed to get the band-aid, you can just pour water right over it, right over the band-aid, then it's okay. So the reason why you're going to put on a glove is because you're afraid to get it wet. So you're not going to wash it properly because you're going to wash it, then the water's not going to get all the way to the band-aid. There's going to be spots with this space. You can't wash the hand properly. If let's say, I think that's unusual. If you have a band-aid, you can't take off. You're supposed to stay there. But could I get it wet? Doctor says, yeah, you can pour water over it. Let's say, I don't think it's usually the case, but let's say, if the band-aid is supposed to be there, and you're able to just pour water right over it, it's no problem. Medically, it's fine. Fine, so you can wash the hand. When are you putting a glove? Because you're not allowed to get it wet. So you're going to wash it, and you're going to be careful not... It's impossible to go all the way till the band-aid. Now, theoretically, if you're able to wash all the way till the band-aid, let's say, and not get the band-aid wet, it would also be good. It's not about getting the band-aid wet. You'll be able to wash till the band-aid would be good, but you can't because the band-aid is going to get wet. So you're going to be away from the band-aid. So you're not getting your whole hand wet. That's why we're saying put on a glove. So you put on a glove while you're eating the bread. The glove needs to be on. You just wash the other hand, and you still say the bracha until Netilat Yadayim. Many times we invite people to our house, and many times non-religious Jews, they never wash their hands for bread. And we invite them for a meal, Shabbos, Yom Tov, or whatever, there's a party, there's Sunnah, and there's bread. You're supposed to wash your hands before, and they don't wash their hands. They don't do anything. I mean, they don't say brachas, they don't wash it. It's not the only thing they don't do. So people think of it as, okay, so what's the big deal? What should I do? You don't give someone food because they're not going to say a bracha. You give. But when it comes to bread, it's different. Bread, Chacham enacted that you're not allowed to eat bread before you wash your hands. So you're actually not allowed to give bread to a Jew who you know is not going to wash his hands. You're not allowed to give them bread. They have to know how to go about it. Obviously, you have to do it the smart way. Saying so you have to. So if you have an event and there is bread over there, so you have to set it up in a way where you make them comfortable. Everyone is going to watch. That's like by Shabbos, you invite people to the house. Everyone is doing it together. We're all going to wash our hands. So if you do it in that way, then it's okay. But otherwise, it's an issue. That is why there's some people that think that the pizza shops that make hamaitzi is it's like an amazing. You know the whole thing with mezainis bread and the maitzi, and if they eat too much pizza, it becomes a maitzi. And there's some places that they actually make the pizza a maitzi, but it's not an advantage to make the pizza a maitzi. Because if you have, especially in the place, if you have non-religious Jews walking in there and they're eating it and they're not washing their hands, it's better for it to be mezainis. Now those who are religious, they know if it's mezainis, you eat too much, you're washing a piece of bread. So, or sometimes it becomes a maitzi itself. Depends how much you eat. So that's something important to be aware of. It's just to give, if you're inviting people to avoid bread when possible. Shabbos Yom Tov meal is different because you have to wash. And anyways, everyone is washing together. You're together. You kiddush. Now we go wash our hands. But otherwise, there's just people coming in and out, and you're putting out food there, buffet style, and people take food, and people they just avoid putting bread. Anyways, bread these days, it used to be bread used to be like without bread, like you couldn't survive. These days, there's food you could survive without bread also. It's not so crucial to have bread in every event. Yeah.
So I have two questions. First is for me and my school, the school I work at, it's preschool. We on like Shabbos, we like give all the kids like a Shabbos party, and we give them challah. We make challah early in the morning together. We make it and we give it to them after lunch or like right before lunch. But we're not washing with them beforehand, and we're not doing it with breakfast right now after. Usually, what we do for each kid is give them each like a kazayas of bread. But
You bake bread with them.
yeah,
you bake challah, and they're eating it too.
yeah, and they're eating it
after they bake it.
Exactly, because we have one challah that we eat together as a class, and then like they all have their own individuals called challahs.
Okay.
But so we give them just a little bit of challah when they're eating it, just a tiny bit. But there is one kid who always like goes when we're not looking and like eats the rest of the challah by himself. So I want to know if like because I know he will do that and he does it every single week, should I wash with him beforehand? But he is 2, so I don't know if it really.
2-year-old kids are different. Talking about adults, kids is chinuch. It's a different. You don't have to be so. Kids is very different. So
And
all different approach.
the second question is usually by a chasna, like by the meal, you have bread and you have people will wash. Like most people a lot of them wash, but then maybe there are some people who don't wash, and like say you're the challah, like you can't go to each table and say make sure you wash. So the better to like not.
You're right. I'm not saying. I'm not implying necessarily that in every situation everything has to be analyzed on its own. I'm not implying necessarily that okay. Every time by every wedding you can't put out challah. There's a mitzvah to wash for suda. So there's mitzvah. I'm not implying that necessarily. I'm just saying it's something to be aware of that. If they know how to go about it. Usually you're saying, I don't know, saying by chasna there are non-religious Jews coming also. So
yeah, okay.
It's not exactly, but it's not exactly what I'm discussing, even though I'm discussing it. It's not exactly because I'm referring specifically when you're giving it to him. You're not giving it to him, you're putting it out. So putting it out is, even though I put it classified at the same category, but it's still not exactly the same level. You're putting out for everyone. The people coming, we can't put a challah for people because it's going to be so. So it's not exactly that way. Not the same severity. So by a wedding, there's a mitzvah, people have to wash. I assume that's the reason why we're not gonna. So we can never put out a mitzi. But nevertheless, when you could avoid it, like having a wedding is a mitzvah. So you have the mitzvah to wash. But I'm saying when you're making an event, you're making some type of event that's going on, and there's no mitzvah to wash. Just it's not like a milk and anything. You're just putting out, and there's a lot of people coming there. You're trying to attract other people who are specifically not religious to come. It's an event. I'm referring to that. That's what I'm referring to. So that you want to avoid. But to say if you have a simcha wedding, there's a mitzvah to wash, and most of the people are coming are religious, and there's going to be some person coming in, and you're not giving it to them directly, it's a different, but you have to know where to apply it. Now, when you are traveling, and this is also not so common these days, but let's say there is no water. Let's say you want to wash for bread, and there's no water. And you're desperate, you really want to wash. This is when you have nothing else to eat, then there's no water. So there's an opinion that says you could cover your hands and eat without washing your hands. In other words, while eating the bread, your hands are going to be covered. Over here, it's brought down that it's best not to. This is a leniency. a leniency in a situation where you're desperate and you have no water to cover your hands while you're eating the bread. It's a leniency. The Rebbe says, whoever strict will be blessed. So it's better to avoid it. And even this leniency is in a situation where a person is desperate. It's not so common these days. A person is like, he only has to eat, and he has to eat bread, and then he has no water. He has no water, and all he has is bread. It's not so common these days. These days, you stop any rest there, but it could happen sometimes. You're traveling the place, and you have a sandwich. This is what you're starving, and you prepared sandwiches. This is the food you have, and you're not finding water. So this is a leniency that if you feel that you're in a difficult situation, you may be lenient, you could apply this leniency and say, okay, I'm going to just cover my hands and eat the challah while my hands are covered. Now, in the previous case, when a person has an injury and he can't wash the hand properly and he's covering the hand, so the leniency, so he only has to cover his hands while he's eating the challah. Only while he's eating the challah. After he finishes eating the challah, it doesn't have to be covered during the entire meal. While he's eating the challah, while he's eating the bread, that hand has to be covered. After he finishes eating it, it doesn't have to stay covered the entire meal, only while he's eating it. Okay.